Everyone, welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 9, Episode 19, FCC Backpedals on Firmware Updates. Hope everyone is doing well this evening. We have very special guests. A lot of you went to meet up, probably know who is sitting here with us enjoying the show tonight. It's Garrett Scott. Garrett, welcome. Thank you for stopping by tonight. Ron is going to join us here in just a little bit. And we also have, as another special guest, not really a special guest, Marcus. He's going to join us as well, too. So I'm going to greet everybody here. Let's see who's in. You guys really packed the house in early tonight. USA Drone Flyer, Dales is here. Let's see who else we got. Lauren is here. RJ Redding. Gator Drone. Sergeant Rock. Art is here. Maniski Works is here. Let's see who else. Flying Flynn, John Flynn. Welcome, John. Good to see you guys. Thank you all for stopping by tonight. I hope you guys had a chance to meet Garrett at the meetup. Because I tell you what, and I hate to keep talking about the meetup a lot, but I think it was one of the best ones that we've ever had. I mean, the turnout was great. It was great participation there. We all had a good time. Did you enjoy the meetup, Garrett?
Oh yeah, definitely. Took my dad with me.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, it was. I can't. My wife was just. This is like the third one that she has been to. I've been to 4. This is the third one she has been. No, it's actually she's been to all of them with me. This by far, she said this was the best one. She really just. And you know what? It helped. We stayed at the Hampton Inn this time. We didn't stay. One of the years we just drove down for the day and drove back because of our work schedules. But this year we had time. We stayed Friday night, Friday, Saturday, and left Sunday morning. And it was just so good. We just had a great time there. Can't say enough about that. And again, for Captain Ray and Johnny and for everybody who's behind it, who does all the work and everything, thank you guys again. I mean, it just really was good. Now, the reason we have Garrett on is he has the Antigravity A1, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute. We're gonna do a little show and tell and talk about. He has a couple of videos out now too, so we're gonna definitely promote those. I reposted it to Bill the Drone Reviewer Facebook group, so go ahead and look for that out there. Just some incredible footage from downtown Tampa, which was near and dear to me because I live pretty close to Tampa, and I found out Garrett lives in Temple Terrace, which isn't too far from us, so that's a great thing. So one of the things I wanted to ask Garrett while we're waiting for Ron and Marcus here was what prompted you to get Antigravity?
Well, first of all, saw the commercial, whatever they had the commercial last summer or last fall, looked pretty cool, and it sold me. I was like, oh, that's pretty neat, especially with DJI. We don't know they don't have anything like that at the time. This is before the 360 was going to be announced. So I was like, I got to get this. Now, the only thing that held me back was the price. The price was, it's like, God, it was like $19.99 originally, and I was like, my dad and I went to Best Buy. I was like, Dad, I think I should get this. He goes, well, just hold off on it, $2,000. Then it went on sale for the 15% off, not the 20% that's now, but 15. I was like, I got to snag it. I bought it on their website because you don't have to pay taxes on it. So I got it for $16.99. And I got it, 3 or 4 days. And then, of course, the DJI was going to come here. So, and yeah, I didn't know how much it was going to be. The DJI was, didn't know how it was going to get here. So then, yeah, that's how I got the Antigravity.
Well, one of the things that we've talked about, and I know Ron and I've talked about, and we about the Antigravity as far as the actual cost, that probably most of that is probably tied up in the goggles, because the goggles, from everything that I understand, and I've actually seen them before too. Phil D.D. Fellows showed us his. I mean, they're elaborate. They're very nice. It's a great setup, but goggles are expensive.
Yes.
You know, and what impressed me was I took my glasses off and it adjusted to my vision.
Yeah, you
Perfect.
got the what do we call it? The correction.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like instantly I could see I had zero problems and I was like, wow, that was impressive. Like I said, I wish I could do goggles because those seem really good. Now, one of the things I wanted to ask you was, you know, I know a lot of people have said about the setup and wearing the goggles, and you have that battery pack. You probably got to put it like on your belt or in your pocket or things. How does that work? I mean, do you feel that that bothers you when you fly, or
No, in fact,
okay?
Look here, you know, when we got these at the meetup, it comes with one when you bought the thing, but I bought 2 batteries. And I just hook it up and I just wear it. It's, you know, it's no big deal.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You know, I don't notice it anything. I don't notice it. Also, I like the battery being by itself because, you know, if the batteries ever go bad on the DJI goggles, you're screwed. You got to get like another goggles, or it's hard. I don't know how you would replace the battery, but here, especially if you got long flight times too, you got to switch out the other battery, you know, as long as they're charged up. You know, it was like $59, whatever it is. So I like that. I mean, yeah, it's another thing, but hey, it's much comfortable to wear, you know, those goggles.
That's good. That's really really good to hear. You know, one of the things that I've seen was, and a lot of people compare that as far as the physical size of the drone. You know, and I've seen it, and I've held the drone before too, and it really reminds me of like a DJI Mini, probably a Mini 4, Mini 5 Pro. You know, it's compact. It's really the same form factor, everything. You know, one of the things that people commented on right away was about the landing gear. You know, and getting out of the way when it takes off.
Yeah. In fact, now this thing, the strap here, I bought that extra on Amazon. It was like, you know, $6, but yeah, here's the drone itself. And then, you know, fold it. There's the landing gear right here.
Gotcha.
So it does, when it starts to land, it does automatically go down, and when it goes up, it automatically goes up. Just make sure when you put it on something, you put the landing gear down, because, you know, you got the lens right there.
Exactly. Yeah. That's
the most important thing to remember.
Well, you know, I went out because of that. I was like, oh, well, you know, I probably should get some for the Avata 360. But then I found out after I told people, yeah, I went ahead and I bought some on Amazon. They weren't here yet. They said, take them back, send it back. I said, why? I said, it'll show in the video. Okay. So you don't mount anything on the Avata 360 underneath at all. And they also said, as far as like the bumper guards, because I know people put them on like the Neo and the other Avatas and things like that. No, you can't do that there either, because the camera is going to pick all of that up. I mean, that's something that you have to kind of get used to when you're flying a 360 drone, is to realize that it's going to pick everything up. And I mean, absolutely everything.
I bought prop guards for this. I had like a Best Buy, you know, rewards, like $15. I got prop guards. I haven't put it on there, but what I've heard is that you put prop guards on there, you cannot see it. You cannot see the prop guards at all. So,
oh wow, that's really good.
I'll probably do a video on that, you know, when I hook it up. It's just, I bought it. It was like, you know, $5 after the rewards. So,
oh yeah. Then why not? Yeah, that makes perfect sense to do something like that. But yeah, I would. Yeah, if you can't see them, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'll do a video on that.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you guys need to go out there and watch watch Garrett's videos. I mean, they're great. It's in a great setting. It's, you know, it's in Tampa, and just some very scenic footage as far as that's concerned. And just, you really get a good feel for the drone itself, for the video quality. And it just really impressed the daylights out of me. It's like, you know, the more I see, the more I hear. I was like, okay, I'm ready for you to come out with a regular controller right now. Because and one thing that we talked about, Garrett, was the price on the Antigravity, and we talked about, you know, Garrett talked about how much he paid for it earlier and everything, and how the prices have come down. But I think one of the things, the reason that it costs as much as it does, is because of the goggles and the setup there. And Ron and I had a discussion that if if they sold a version, say with like a controller with a built-in screen, how that would greatly reduce the cost of them because they wouldn't have to have the goggles. They would just have that controller with a built-in screen. What are your thoughts about that?
No, I agree with you on as well. The thing is, for the controller, it depends how much, like when the Vada 360 came out and Antigravity came, it's been out. How many sales is it the 360, the DJI has been sold? If they got a lot of sales and Antigravity's not getting a lot of sales, they're going to come out with that controller really fast because they're going to need that competition.
Hey, Ron.
Hey, Ron.
Hey, good evening, Bill. Good evening, Garrett. How are you guys tonight?
Good.
Doing good. Doing real good. We're talking. We're doing anti-gravity talk. We're talking currently about the cost of it and how the goggles really are a big part of that, and how when as we have talked about how if they come out with a controller with a screen, how that cost is going to go down significantly because of that. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
What was the conclusion with a regular controller? You think it could be comparably priced to the Vada 360 kits?
Oh yeah, I really do.
Like if the Vada or the DJI is selling really well, they're going Antigravity is going to have to lower the price a lot more to keep up on the sales.
I agree. Hey, Marcus, welcome.
Howdy, boys. I'm sorry I'm late. I was downstairs doing some studio work and I lost track of time.
No, you're fine. You're out.
Don't worry, I was only here a minute before you, Marcus. So,
hey, Marcus,
how you doing, Garrett?
Good.
Oh, I don't know, Ron and Marcus. Have you had a chance to watch Garrett's videos? I did today.
Well, I watched his. The last two. I saw the two flights he did in Tampa. The one he did
right.
Was that just with the A1? And another flight you did a comparison between the Avaya 360 and the A1. And I thought the A1 footage looked much brighter than the Avaya 360 footage.
Yeah, I did the 360 or the DJI, the 360, and then I compared them, together. And I was like, gosh, that A1 just looks a lot better. And I did do a little color grading, but it's just A1 looks sharper. I don't know.
I mean, the clouds kind of looked a little HDR'd in the A1. I mean, they look good, but they almost look too good. I mean, you were there, you saw what it really looked like with your own eyes, so it could have looked that good. But I thought that, I mean, they look good for social media, but they I thought it was a little too much HDR in the A1. But that being said, I still prefer it to the Avaya 360, at least in that test. But like I always say, it's all about the light. You could do the same test with the same two drones under different lighting conditions, and the one looked better under one, the other one looks better in different lighting conditions. So, that's how those tests goes.
Marcus, have you had a chance to watch Garrett's?
No, I'm anxious to see that video that you're talking about.
It was. You can really tell. Like I watched his videos that he did in Tampa, and just really how sharp and how crisp and how clear. That's the one thing that got me. I mean, I know I like the Avaya 360 footage, but what I was looking with the anti-gravity one specifically in Tampa that he did, I mean, it was the details were really sharp and they really kind of jumped out. I mean, and then of course,
Garrett, did that big firmware update that came out like last week, in the last 2 weeks, did that help the video quality at all?
It seemed like it helped out a little bit, yes. Because if you look at the prior one, like when I did New Mexico, when I was in New Mexico a couple months ago, it just seems like it's a little bit sharper. So I don't know. I don't know if it's the editing or just.
I'll be anxious to see. I do have some news with regard to the Antigravity A1.
What's that?
Well, I told Ron a while back, and I didn't want to say anything till I actually had a tracking number. But I did that deal with Antigravity where you could apply to have them send you one for a review, right? So I did that, and they're sending me one. And again, I didn't want to say anything until I actually had a tracking number, but I've got a UPS tracking number now. So yeah, I'm really anxious to do just what Garrett's talking about, compare the two and see. I'm going to be going to school on you, Garrett, because I'm going to have to figure it all out.
And now, before you came on, Marcus, we were talking about the price of the A1 versus the 360, And you theorizing that once they release a standard controller for the A1, if you buy just that kit, that will bring it down to about the same price point that the Avaya 360 comes
They
with.
Could
the
certainly get it close,
controller.
couldn't they? They absolutely could get it close. So that's a good thing. And Ron, you've mentioned many times an advantage that the Antigravity drone has is that it's sub 250, and that makes a big difference for a lot of people. I do want to say that I feel privileged and very lucky to be able to have been chosen to get one of them for review. But I would encourage anybody out there, they've got a program that they're wanting people to review their drones. So apply, just take the time and apply for it. And you never know, you could get one.
About 2 weeks ago, they sent out emails to I guess anybody that had signed up for their their emails, that you could arrange for a test flight, that you put all your information in and able to arrange for a test flight in your local area. Now, I haven't heard anything yet, but that's only been 2-3 weeks. It's been since I got back from Florida, but I'll be anxious to see if they actually do set something up where somebody comes around and lets me test fly the drone in my own local area.
So what I would say the good news is in that regard, we all have a vested interest in anti-gravity being successful, right? Because we've all complained that we want another competitor. We love our DJI drones, but we also want a good quality competitor. So they are really promoting their product. They're spending a lot of time and effort promoting their product. So let's hope that they're 100% successful.
Well, they
and so far, I don't know how many people actually have the drone, but I don't hear a lot of people complain about, your typical issues like, things not working right, failures, crashes, and whatever. I don't hear a lot of negatives about the A1. Garrett, do you hear much at all?
No, the only thing is, like, when you go on Facebook and you go to the groups, the DJI and the anti-gravity, there's more people in the DJI group than the anti-gravity.
Well, of course, yeah.
On the anti-gravity, what people are complaining about, like, well, it doesn't go backwards. Well, the little controller, there's like a little thing there. You just turn it around real fast. You don't have to worry about going backwards. It just stops and it zips around. Oh, it doesn't have that. Or the signal strength. The signal strength, I was telling Ron this yesterday. I was in Tampa. There's a skyrise, and I went around to the other side, and on both drones, I was starting to getting a warning. Hey, signal strength is weakening out. Luckily, it didn't go away. I was able to go around. So, but both of them did that. So I can't blame anti-gravity on that. If it went,
And Russ of 51 Drones, he put out a comparison just the last day or two between the A1 and the Avaya 360. He even went down points and scored and whatever, but he got to the transmission signal, and he kind of said it just right. The DJI's been doing this for over 10 years. They've got the best signal in the business. That's almost, unaskable for somebody at a startup company to have their first drone be in the same signal level with somebody who's been the best at it for the last 10 years or so. And, that's a good point. I mean, that's, if you're trying to buy a drone, that's something you think about. But, again, you just can't expect it to be as good as DJI right out of the chute.
The flip side of that coin is I never think of a 360 drone as something that you're going to fly out there a long ways either. Now, signal penetration is important if you're around trees or buildings, like Garrett said.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I just don't see a 360 drone as something that you're going to fly out half a mile.
Right.
That's a good point, Marcus, because I think a lot of people, we're so used and so conditioned, like flying an Air 3S or a Mavic 4 Pro, and we're going to fly some distance, to get a shot in, which is fine. But I think the whole concept, and I think I realized that very quickly on after I got the Avaya 360, is these are what I would call a closer proximity drones. In other words, you need to be closer to your subject at hand when you're shooting it. And I think it makes a whole lot more sense with what you just said as far as that's concerned. But I think, from what Garrett's been telling me, it's really sounded like it's just been a great experience. Garrett, when did you get, I know you told me about getting it. When did you do that? Was that, you said in December?
February. I got in February. I had that first sale. It was like 15% off, and now it's 20%. It's like, come on, you guys. Why I have to go on sale? And they keep extending the sale. Like, it's supposed to end like a certain date. Well, then they extend like a couple of weeks later because it's the competition.
Yeah, they kind of have to, don't they? Because the Avata 360, yeah.
And they're on social media, and of course they see it on all the groups and websites and forums. The biggest complaint about the A1 is the price, and as you guys already brought up, but people don't factor in on that price that the goggles are a big chunk of that hefty price.
The voice activation is awesome as well, and
I saw your video on that. Yeah.
And like I said, I got a list of of commands here. But some of the same thing, might say this, but we could change the white balance. You could change the FPV mode, freestyle mode, or whatever the other mode is. So there's a lot of commands. And I found this on Facebook. I don't know exactly where I saw it. Somebody had it. I knew their name. I'll give them credit for it. But yeah, it's.
And I can see the voice commands being more helpful on a drone that you're flying with a motion controller, because you don't have your standard controller in front of you where you have easy access to all your buttons to change all the functions. So I can see voice commands being more important when you're flying with a motion type controller than with a standard controller with sticks and many buttons.
And it also has obstacle avoidance now, like all around. Like it will go bypass, same thing, or stop or brake, and it's pretty good.
They had their little video where they showed like the bubble all around the drone is flying through a cityscape.
I think they got that from DJI though, the Avata 360 when they were coming out.
Yeah.
The more I hear about this, it's like what I'm going to do tomorrow. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to find their contact information, and I'm going to reach out and email them to see if they have a standard controller in the works for it, because they would their sales, I think, would climb exponentially as far as that's concerned, because I know myself, I would be the first one to go ahead and hit the buy button if that were the case.
Yeah, Eddie Nunes just got one recently. They sent him one, and he talked about the standard controller, and he said that he heard, they told him that it could be here in Q2, which we're in Q2 already, but he said but possibly even Q3. And to me, and I said this last night, I don't go on, but these companies, they need to get the tools out we need to do. They got to realize half the world lives in the northern climate where it's not good flying in winter time. They need to get these tools into people's hands when the weather's good. It doesn't do you any good to release this stuff in December or whatever, when half the world's already into winter, and it's really not very flammable weather. So they need to get the standard controller out. They don't need to, they need to get it out now. They don't need to get Q3. I don't need any Q3, Q4, whatever they have to do to get the development, the software bugs out. They need to get that thing out before July 4th or whatever.
I agree, Ron. That makes a great point, because you have 3/4 of your country is in a climate where it's going to be affected by winter, and the weather's going to be inclement, and it's not going to be good to fly in. And
Bill, if you were back in Columbus, Ohio, how much flying would you be doing in December and January?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, the only flying I would be doing is probably the Neo 2 indoors, and that would probably be about it. And then of course I'd probably get a 2x4 from Valerie on the head. So that won't happen that much. But all in all, Garrett's experience sounds really good with it. I'm just really impressed, and I kind of piggyback, with obviously, with us talking to Phil as well too at the meetup, with his experience at it, and looking at it right through the goggles. I mean, this is something I think I'm really super excited about it. And especially is, Garrett has an Avata 362, and we were talking about processing through Studio and everything, and how really very straightforward it is to do that. And it's the same kind of process for the anti-gravity as well too, through their software. So it's really kind of seamless. So that's what gets me excited about it. I mean, it's a different type of experience for sure. I'm enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to get one when they come out with that controller, for sure.
Now on the studios,
again, like Marcus brought up earlier, I kind of like the fact that it's more of a more looks and acts more like a camera drone than the necessary 360 drone or whatever. Because with the 360 drone, those inductive props, I mean, they're good. They're bumpers. It protects you more, but also it comes with the noise. It kind of creates a little drag on the drone a little bit. So, do you see that, Garrett? Do you see the difference from the A1, which doesn't have any bumper guards, we'll say, versus the Avata 360? You got less drag on the drone as it's flying in high winds.
No, for some reason the 360, the DJI one, seems like it's something like more FPV. It seemed like I could go more curvier, do all that kind of stuff. But you're supposed to fly in a straight line. I think last week, Bill, you were talking about when you take a video, just go in a straight line. You're going to get everything. Well, here with the FPV mine, I just want to go left, right, all that kind of stuff. And the anti-gravity, I think, is like a Mini 5. You're just flying for cinematic. But I do have bumper guards for the Avata or for the A1.
Okay. Wow.
I haven't put them on yet. I bought them Best Buy. It was like I had a $15 rewards, and so it's like $5 left, to pay on it. So I'm going to do a video if you can see the bumper guards. But I heard you don't see the bumper guards when you put that on there from anti-gravity.
Well, that's good, because a lot of guys got the Avata 360. They printed out those 3D printed kind of things to put on their bumper guards, and they got in the shot or whatever because they didn't realize that the 360 footage was getting everything.
Because I think it's a third party, or but I'm pretty sure Antigravity made their product.
Yeah.
It's like those sticks.
Yeah.
Those sticks you carry, the 360s. You don't see the stick when you're carrying it. Now it looks kind of funny when you're holding a stick. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
But
I think 360 is suited better for a drone than it is walking around with the handheld cameras, because again, it kind of looks funny with it. You're holding something, but there's no stick there. It's
got a microphone
better for a drone. Because of course, you're not holding anything.
Yeah. And Bill, I think there's a prototype of a controller coming out, but didn't have a screen on it.
Okay. I would actually, because, and we've talked, Ron and I've talked about it. I think Marcus probably shares it too. It's like, we're so used to right now not having to put a phone on our controller, and hooking it up and everything. But you know what? If Avata came out with that, I will gladly do that, because I've been impressed with your footage, with Phil's footage, everything that I've seen about it. It's really been very impressive to me from what we've seen. So I don't think I would bat an eyelash really with something like that, to have the opportunity to fly something like that.
Yeah,
really
well, with the 360 drone, even if you're an iPhone user and your screen did dim or whatever, well, you're not really, it's capturing anything anyways. Framing your shot up's not as important with a 360 drone as it is with
exactly
drones.
Exactly.
And Marcus, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead.
Marcus, you got to go to what's that? In Buell, Idaho, where the balanced rock, and fly that thing around there.
Yeah, balanced rock. Yeah. So when were you in Idaho, Garrett? I saw that you had a video from Warm Lake.
I went back in October to go see Boise play New Mexico. When I flew over there, I'm supposed to go first week of June. To go up there, but we'll see if I can come up with some more money to go.
If you do, we'll go out to the canyon and go flying.
Oh, definitely.
But what were you doing up in Warm Lake?
I don't.
So
I was just flying. That's up in McCall. That's going up.
That's yeah. So for people that don't know, Warm Lake is you have to know where it's at, and it's a ways out there. I used to go snowmobiling up there. It's up in the mountains. You got to know it's there. You're not just going to drive by it.
I went to McCall to fly.
Yeah.
And then I went down south and
You saw the sign and yeah, cool. That is really cool. Yeah.
Well, we're going to kind of switch gears here a little bit, because this news came out this week, and this was, here we go. Okay. The Air 4. And there was an article out there on Drone XL by Hay. And I wanted to go over this because I thought, we gotta. It's just like here we go. I mean, we're starting off here. DJI Air 4 caught in Chinese flight filing app, the First Registry-Level Sighting. Okay, and there it is, right there. Apparently, and of course, that's all in Chinese right there. The Air 4 surfaced inside a Chinese drone flight reporting app, sitting at the drop-down menu of a selectable aircraft alongside already shipping Insta360 Antigravity A1. The screenshot posted Monday by drone leaker Igor Bogdanov on X with the caption, "Caught Air 4 is the first known appearance of the unannounced model in a regulatory adjacent piece of software rather than a factory floor photo or a crashed photo type." The dropdown reveals where Air 4 sits in DJI's lineup. I'm trying to read here. In a partially obscured 8th entry sphere, a left rail sidebar carries 5 vehicle categories: consumer portable, consumer imaging, FPV immersive, professional aerial, and enterprise industrial here. The information banner above the model list reproduces standard CAAC framing and Chinese micro and light drones flying inside a suitable flight zone are capped at 120 meters. Advanced flying while controlling airspace or above cap. And you guys go ahead and read that at your leisure here. A registry entry is a different category of signal rather than a prototype photo. The Air 4 timeline has run on photos until now. Bogdanov posted an A4 hashtag battery shots in May 2024. Longtime leaker Jasper Ellens followed in February 2025 with a crashed prototype showing the top-mounted sensor array now associated with the Mavic 4 generation. Each of these images is the kind of artifact a Chinese factory worker or delivery driver can quietly photograph and pass to a leaker. So the U.S. availability in question is separate from the China launch path. And the public comment window on the FCC position closes today, May 11th, and that already happened yesterday. And that was that. And Joan XL's take, I've been writing about the Air 4 rumors since May 2024 and the prototype crash in February 2025. Until the screenshot, every piece of evidence pointed at hardware DJI was prototyping. This is the first piece of evidence that points at hardware DJI is preparing to operationalize. Database listings came in last development cycle, not in first. The Mavic 4 Pro followed the same pattern with retail packaging and order page leaks surfacing in the final weeks before May 13th, 2025 launch. While this screenshot does not tell us timing, Bogdanov's track record is strong and coming in is not attached to the launch window of the screenshot, and reading one into the image would be guessing. The presence of Antigravity A1 in the same dropdown is the more useful comparison point. The A1 shipped December 4, 2025, and is in the registry now because it is a real product flying in Chinese airspace. The Air 4 is in the registry without any of that ground truth, which suggests DJI is staging for arrival rather than retrofitting an already shipped product. So that's a lot there. What are your thoughts on this, guys?
Bill, we'll be able to get it in the United States? Will it get FCC approval?
That is the $60,000 question, my friend. That really is. And we're going to talk about that, the whole FCC thing here in a minute. But, we really, other than seeing that in the database, because that's what the article really kind of focuses on, it really doesn't talk a whole lot more, or the registry, as far as that's concerned, over in China, which is a good thing. It's shown up, and as far as the timing is concerned, there's no real way to tell this, because this is different from the FCC database where you have to file and you have to provide pictures and show the label with the serial number and all that. We see none of that here. All right. All we see is a drop down, and it's on a drop down menu, which shows it's in the registry, meaning it's been booked. It could come this quarter. It could come last quarter. You just don't know with something like this, because I went out and looked today, Igor Bogdanov and Jasper, there was quiet. There's nothing else on this. This is all that we really know right now.
Well, we are on that timeline. It'll be in October, it'll be 2 years since the Air 3S showed up. So we are kind of due for another Air, but
you're right,
because, maybe unless all these comments that we put in did some good or whatever, you change some hearts and minds, it probably will, unlikely get FCC approval in this country this year.
Yeah. It's probably, and like you said, and you brought up a good point, Ron, when we were talking anti-gravity and the controller, and let's say, let's get this out now so we can use it. And I'm kind of saying the same thing here is I wish that these manufacturers, and not only, I'm going to say DJI, to think about the cycles of weather around the world, and especially where they're releasing these products, and to think about the dates that they release the products, because if it's like it is, starting November, December, January up north, it's really, all you can do is charge the batteries up and do firmware updates. That's good, or maybe fly in the garage if you're lucky, and that's going to be about it. And you got to wait until the weather breaks to get outside. So, and
the Air didn't used to be a fall drone. The original Air 1 came out like in February, and then I believe the Air 2 and Air 2S both came out in the spring, and then all of a sudden, when they got around the Air 3, they cycled it to the fall.
Remember, we used to always get the minis in the fall, and I always thought that was because of the holidays. They wanted, gift giving. Yeah.
And for not even early fall, we used to get them late fall.
Yeah.
Well,
but you're right.
I
That
think
makes sense. More of a spontaneous gift item. But the Air 3, it always had a price point there. I kind of put it out of a spontaneous kind of gift item.
yeah. So that kind of remains to be seen. Any thoughts, Garrett, on this at all?
No, I'm keeping my Air 3S. No more drone buying for me. I'm broke now because of drones.
and the Air 3S is a keeper. I mean, I don't know what they could do in the Air 4, but I get the feeling the Air 4 will be somewhat of an incremental upgrade.
Yeah, that Air 3S is the kind that said you got to pry my cold dead hands off the Air 3S. That's the kind of drone it is for me too. So
and I bought an RC2 Pro from Evelyn Saturday or Sunday, so I'm supposed to be getting it in the next few days.
Good.
She's pretty good. I got some. She'll send me a message on Facebook. It's like, hey, you're supposed to receive your item. So I had to call my dad. It's like, hey, Dad, did it come? He goes, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. So
yeah, she's really good. Yeah,
yes. I got an extra battery too from her.
Yeah. Well, I do want to spend some time on this because this is pretty significant news about the FCC backpedaling on the firmware update date. And I'm going to get to the article first, and then we're going to go ahead and talk about this. Let's see here. Okay.
Garrett, you're going to enjoy that RC Pro 2 controller. I had a real estate shoot today, and I usually don't take it with me. I usually take the RC2, and man, I could walk around outside in the bright sunlight and still fly with it. So I mean, it's really a nice controller.
Well, I wear my Air the glasses, the Ray Neo glasses with the controller. So I'm like, well, should I get this or not? But if someone sees me, it's like, hey, you got to have a spotter. I have that controller, then I don't have to worry about, someone saying something.
Yeah.
Okay. FCC extends foreign drone firmware waiver to January 2029. Concedes cutting off patches would be worse than ban. And as you know, that was, public notice DA 26-454, and the earlier deadlines were January 1st, 2027 for drones and March 1st, 2027 for routers. The agency also broadened the waiver to cover Class 2 permissive changes, firmware modifications, mitigate consumer harm. In addition, Class 1 changes, the prior waivers already permitted, okay? The reasoning in the OET notice is the part worth reading. The agency stated that special circumstances warrant a deviation from the general rules, and the public interest would be better served by extending the waiver. Translated out of regulatory language, blocking security patches on the millions of already deployed DJI drones, Autel drones, and TP-Link routers sitting in American homes would have created a worse cybersecurity problem than the one in the covered list was meant to address. The agency is admitting that the ban it issued in December 2025, then expanding to routers in March 2026, would have left the existing installed base less safe over time if updates stopped flowing. I followed this regulatory change since October 2025. Friday's notice is the third time the OET had to walk back the practical consequences of the covered list framework, first for drones in January 2026, then for routers in March 2026, now for both together until 2029. Pushes two deadlines to 2029, adds Class 2 updates as far as that's concerned. The covered list itself is not changing. That's an important fact to remember. Nothing about that has changed. To date, 4 enterprise drone systems have cleared the process, and it talks about those there. And those are enterprise level. The logical contradiction the FCC just conceded. And Friday's waivers, the agency telling the same drone and router owners that the same product in the same homes and businesses need to keep receiving software updates from those foreign manufacturers for another 2 years and 7 months, because cutting off updates would make the devices less safe here. The rulemaking signal and Drone XL's take on this. And there's a lot to this, and I suggest you read the article. I have it posted on Build a Drone Reviewer Facebook group. But one of the things that I wanted to bring up, and I know, and by the way, guys, having Tanya on last night was great. She was great on the show last night. Really enjoyed. I'm
glad you got to meet her that weekend, Bill.
Oh my gosh, both Valerie and I really enjoyed meeting her. She's just a wonderful person. Marcus, you found a gem of a person. She's fantastic.
She's a good girl, isn't she? And met her through my YouTube channel, right?
That's fantastic. Hey, that is exactly where it's at. As far
Garrett,
as
did you get to speak with Tanya at the meetup?
Was she the one with the RC2 controller? Did she have that, or was that your Marcus? Was that your daughter, or did your daughter go there?
No. So I don't know. I can't
She had an RC Pro too. The day of the meetup, she was flying the Mavic 4 Pro with the RC Pro.
With the RC Pro, yeah.
So no, I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, so Bill, quickly, can I tell you the story about the first time I went flying with Tanya?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Hey, Marcus, before you start the story, before you start, you still have your wireless mic on your.
I do. Yeah. As soon as we're done here, I'm going to go back downstairs and keep working in the studio, which is my kitchen. But anyway, so Tanya got a hold of me and she goes, "Hey, I'd like to go flying." And I said, "Well, great. Let's meet out at Heroes Park, and we'll go flying." And I, of course, told my wife, told Sarah what I was doing and all that, and I said, "Okay, let's go out there." So Tanya and I are over in one corner of the park and we're flying our drones. I think she had the Mini 2. I can't remember. I think I had the Mini 3 or whatever. We're flying around a little bit. Well, off in the distance, I see my wife's car driving back and forth.
Oh no!
and so when I got home, I said, "Well, why didn't you come over?" She goes, "Well, I was with Patty, and Patty is the one that wanted to see, so she's the one that made me drive over there." I'm going, "Yeah, okay, whatever."
That's great. One of the things, and the reason I mentioned Tanya last night was she had mentioned about safety as far as firmware updates are concerned, and she brought up a real valid point as far as that's concerned, because if say we're going beyond January 2029 and there's no more firmware updates that are coming out, well, you can understand on some of the what I'll call, and just for grins and giggles, I'll call them legacy drones, saying by that time the Air 3S will probably be considered a legacy drone at that time and so forth, because of product cycles and the way they move on. And I get that. But what about, say, a Mavic 5 or a Mavic 6 or an Air 4 or an Air 5, that are newer drones, that they're not going to get those firmware updates because it's blocked by the FCC. And as Tanya brought up last night, it could be a safety issue, which is a real concern. So, it's really, it's very confusing what the FCC has been doing here. Now, I agree with Koopy. The whole reasoning that they backpedaled was about the routers. Okay. Right. That's 100%. And I totally agree with him as far as that's concerned. However, I think they really kind of got caught up in the moment here as far as everything is concerned, because, this whole blacklisting thing, we're going to obviously, that remains to be seen. But what they're doing here is I think they kind of jumped the gun. I think they thought, oh, we're just going to go ahead and do this, and that way we're going to cover our bases all over the place. And it ends up, they end up having egg on their face because they're having to backpedal at least a couple of years on this, which by that point in time, who knows what's going to happen.
Right. You really got to think these decisions through before you put them before you make them law.
Well, don't you think maybe large corporation companies, like let's say Amazon, use Chinese parts, so they get updates as well? You don't think that could be a play as well?
Yeah. That's an excellent point, Garrett. That really is, because people don't realize. Okay, a lot of these drones that are supposedly on the approved the DoD list. All right, where do they get a lot of their parts from and batteries? All right, nobody talks about that, and a lot of their parts and batteries come from China. I mean, it's just the way it is right now. All right, that's just kind of the way it is as far as that's concerned. So this is kind of like a story in play. It's really funny that this comes out and we're finding out about this now. It's like, oopsie, we kind of like screwed up here, kind of a thing. But then you see Brendan Carr goes out there and he's real vehement and talking about the drone ban and all this, but he does not give any specifics, doesn't go into any details, doesn't take any questions. I mean, he runs and turns tail the other way. And the other thing that I think is real interesting, and I love Vic Moss, God bless him. If you're not friends with Vic Moss and you fly a drone, get to be friends with him on Facebook. Okay. he went out there, and I think he's the new Homeland Secretary. Maldani is his name. I think I'm not 100% sure, but he was wearing a DJI mic on his lapel. Okay, he's out there talking and stuff, and and he's talking about security concerns and blah blah blah. And what's on his lapel? A DJI mic. Okay, so you know what? I don't know who said it. He put a piece of tape over. I said, you know what? I'm just going to put a piece of tape over it where it says Mavic 4 Pro, and I'm just going to fly it. And it's not a DJI drone.
I got a lot of tape around here.
I got a lot of masking tape that'll work for something like that. So I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, of course, the drones are one thing, but they've got, basically FCC has gone against all DJI, even their microphones, action cameras, pocket cameras, anything they create falls victim to this not having FCC approval. Even devices that politicians like to use that have nothing to do with flying and recording secret pictures and photos. I mean, of course, these action cameras could be sent back to China too, but again, all these could be sent back to China too. So what's the difference if I'm running around with a Chinese-made cell phone as I am opposed to Chinese action camera?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree, Ron. I agree. Yeah. That's it, Joe. I like that. Okay. Wow.
I like that's pretty good.
Yeah. In fact, I said before, I'm going to get a bunch of made in the USA stickers and tape them right over the DJI logo on my drones.
There you go.
Made somewhere in the USA.
Oh, look, he's got a made in USA drone down there. He's good. See you later.
Yep.
Well, one of the other things that I do want to touch base on here, and let me see if I can bring the article up. This is kind of, that's kind of, a work in progress, and we'll see how it's going on now. What is it now? I saw an article, and I don't think I have it up there, but I'm going to share this other article right now about the Pocket 4 Pro. And it's real. I love the title.
Rumors are it's coming out on the 14th, which is Thursday, Bill. It's coming out at the Cannes Film Festival in France.
The Cannes Film Festival.
Hey, Bill, I need to run. I've got a guy coming over to look at a trailer I have for sale. So
okay, Marcus, thanks for stopping by. I really enjoyed it.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Thanks for having me on.
Well, it says DJI Osmo Pocket 4 Pro. Your handheld Air 3S is almost here. Wow. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I think that's a pretty incredible title as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, it has the same cameras as the Air 3S. Yeah, it does. Huh.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's like here we go as far as that's concerned. And we're just going to start calling ourselves Pocket Camera Nation. I mean, we didn't, we started out as Zito Nation. Now as Drone Nation, we're also going to start talking about Pocket Camera Nation because that just seems to be going on. What is it? I think at least 5 other than DJI they've come out with. Am I right on that, Ron?
Well, we got the Pocket 4, Pocket 4 Pro. We got the Insta360 Luna. Canon, the Canon camera companies coming out with a pocket type device, and also some of the knockoff companies have some pocket cameras coming out. I can't think of their names, but the budget camera makers even have some pocket cameras in the works.
Right. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy right now, this trend. And I was talking to Garrett before we started, about use case for the Pocket 4 and the Pocket 4 Pro. And I think the Pocket 4 Pro is a little bit different of a use case. Wouldn't you say so, Ron, versus like a Pocket 4?
Well, the problem with the Pocket 4 and all the pocket cameras in general, they have one wide angle lens, which is great for a certain type of filming, kind of up close and stuff. But Bob Dempsey, his story when he bought the Pocket 3 when it came out, took it to Africa. Well, all his shots of the animals were terrible because he was too far away. Where a camera like this with a 3x 70mm tele, that allows you to be more than somebody. Basically allows you not to be trapped with a wide angle. A wide angle lens on a drone is not too bad because the drone, you just fly closer, right? But sometimes you can't walk closer. Maybe it's a fence there or whatever. Maybe sometimes you just can't walk close like the drone. You just fly close. So again, hasn't been good to be tied to a wide angle lens. Like if you buy a real camera, you just don't buy a wide angle lens to quit. You have zooms and things like that, where now the Pocket 4 is more like a real camera where you can get in tighter shots, with that 70mm or 3x tele.
Yeah, that's a real good analysis on that. Garrett, have you been interested in pocket cameras at all, or not?
No, the only one I got was the Action Osmos 4. I got from B&H. It's like $200 It came with a combo. I mean, I used it when I did the open unboxing the Avata 360. I have a thing put in my chest and was able to do that. But I just bought it because I don't know. I was going to use it, but I don't use it.
For things like that, that's great because that wide angle lens, so it's great for having it close or even on your body or whatever, and doing stuff in front of you. So that's the perfect type of camera for that operation.
Yeah,
it really is.
And action cameras are great for vlogging because they're wide angle. They get you in the background or whatever. So each camera has its kind of own use case. There's probably not one camera that's good at every type of filming, but something like the Pocket 4 could be kind of close because of the extra lenses.
I agree, Ron. That extra lens, I think, is going to make a difference. And I think people that are where you can buy a Pocket 4, I'll just put it to you that way, because we don't really know if we can really buy them here in the United States. But people that can use those, all right, I think they would. And I know you and I have talked about it. I know you talked about it with Marcus and the crew at Drone Nation, is to sit and wait until the Pocket 4 Pro comes out before you make a buying decision on something like this, because
there'll be a lot of buyers regret for people bought the Pocket 4 a couple weeks ago, and then
there's going to be a lot of buyer's remorse.
They really wanted.
Well, I think those Pocket 4s, they're like for social, hanging like teenagers hanging out, posting stuff on social. Like the action camera is like sports junkies or cyclists, doing all that kind of stuff. And the 360, like when you go on vacation walking around, there's like 3 different categories for those cameras.
That's well put, Garrett.
The Pocket 4 Pro even goes beyond just that. I mean, people are going to use it as a cinema camera, basically as a replacement to a DSLR put on a gigantic handheld gimbal, whatever, because it's low light capabilities. You can film in D-Log, not D-Log M, the full D-Log. It's, people are going to be shooting weddings and stuff with this camera, again, instead of some big, heavy rig.
Oh, yeah. That's really...
It's going to be a game changer.
You're right, Ron.
The Pocket 3 was a game changer. And this is, really the Pocket 4 was kind of incremental upgrade from the Pocket 3, but the Pocket 4 Pro is not an incremental upgrade because of the extra lens.
That extra lens is going to be really interesting, and I think a lot of people are going to shoot themselves in the foot and say, "Why did I get a Pocket 4? Why didn't I wait for a Pocket 4 Pro?" And I know you've sounded the alarm bell. I have as well. I know you did on Drone Nation. Wait, be patient, wait for this to come out. Take a look and see what the footage is like from some of the reviewers before you make a buying decision on something like this, because and sure enough, so many people went out there, they bought the Pocket 4 saying, and they were like, well, it's not really that much of it's really, like you have said, it's an incremental upgrade from the Pocket 3. It's not really that significant of a jump to warrant purchasing that. However, going from the Pocket 3 to the Pocket 4 Pro, that is a significant jump and a significant leap because of that dual lens system. And I think once we see footage from it, and once it's going to be, it's probably going to knock people's socks off on how good it is. And it may even get me to consider looking at something like that again too, because of that dual lens setup.
Of course, Bill, in the US here, with the Insta360 Luna coming out with the same camera setup, the Luna will not be blocked by the Border Patrol. You'll be able to order Luna directly from Insta360, get delivered direct from company, get full support, warranty and all that. So if the Luna is anywhere as close to the quality of the DJI's video capabilities, it wouldn't be smart to get the Luna instead, because you get the support of the company.
I agree, Ron. And
you don't have to order from South Korea or on Facebook. You just order directly from the mothership.
Exactly. And and it's something that is approved for use here in the United States. You don't have to skirt any issues or laws or anything like that. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
it's
not
all
bad.
FCC approved. And also, Bill, you saw last week where we were wondering, we forgot. Did we talk about this, Bill, yet? We saw the little teaser for that DJI remote, and we all had
Right.
high hopes that remote would control drones and multiple DJI devices. We found out all it was for the DJI Osmo Mobile 8 Pro. It was the front of it. It detached. It only worked with that device, nothing else. But here, where I'm getting at is on the Luna camera from Insta360. It looks like the whole front pops off. This is not.
I saw that today.
This is on the pocket camera, not a gimbal. The whole front pops off as a remote, and we don't know if the DJI Pocket 4 Pro does that. I haven't heard any indication that it does, but this will give them a leg up if they have a remote that pops off on the Luna. So it's going to be an interesting battle, and with DJI basically being out of the game in this country, outside of trying to get it, off of eBay, and then not knowing that if it's legal here. And of course, I mean, I know legals legally follow the letter of law, but you could just get a device like the Pocket 4 Pro, turn Wi-Fi off, and you would never broadcast the signal, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
It's not like a drone. You need a signal. You could just turn Wi-Fi and Bluetooth off as soon as you get the device, and you'll never broadcast the signal.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that, unless you want to do a firmware update. I mean, that's just, and you could probably do a firmware update. You probably plug it into your PC and do the update without Wi-Fi. So
through the Memo app, yeah, you can do it right through the Memo app.
The Memo app. So you'd probably be good to go as far as that's concerned. So, we're going to wrap things up here because we're kind of like up at the top of the hour. And Garrett, do you have any final thoughts tonight on your experience with the Antigravity A1? I know that's kind of why we initially had you on the show for tonight.
No, it's a great drone, but I'm not knocking down the DJI Avata 360. I love that drone as well. They're both great drones. Like somebody made a comment, to fix your problem, buy both. Well, I do have both. Now I decide which one do I want to fly. That's the type of thing. But no, I got into drones 4 years ago, and now I got like 5 of them. Like, gosh,
it happens.
It's like an addicted drug, So it's like just
without the side effects.
The side effects, yeah. Instead of being broke, the broke is the side effect.
Yeah, that's the side effect.
Yeah.
But no, it's thanks for putting me on. I'm glad I got to meet you guys.
Garrett, it was great having you on, and it's great getting to know you a little better tonight.
It was great meeting with the drone meetup, and you showing us as much as you could about the A1. That was great. It kind of, I saw Ken Heron fly at the Boardwalk meetup the day after Christmas, and they had just got at him and drone rods. They really didn't know what they were doing with it yet, so I didn't learn a whole lot that day.
So, and Bill, we could, we can meet one day, and you can fly if you want to, try it out.
Absolutely. We can do that sometime. Yeah. I work during the week, but weekends are wide open. So yeah, we can definitely do that. That would be fantastic.
And real quick before we let Garrett go, which goggles do you prefer? The anti-gravity goggles or the DJI? Are you using the Goggles 3?
Yeah. Well, yeah, for the Avata 360, I use both controllers, the RC2 in there, but I like the A1. It's great.
Yeah, I've only got to look through. I've looked through yours. I looked through Phil's, and I did look through. I think I looked through Ken's. I mean, only for a few minutes, but I got the same impression. These are the best goggles I've ever looked through.
Yeah, there's no light leaks. It just feels good. The only thing is you got the tethered battery, but that's no big deal.
And some people don't like the motion control in the anti-gravity because you have to. It works a little bit different than the DJI one.
Not really. If you go in FPV mode in the A1, you just switch. You don't have to do all that turn around. Just switch it like this, and you're flying.
That's in a non-FPV mode. You have to do all that turn around.
Right. The free mode, freestyle, or I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
But you just put on the goggles like A1, switch to FPV mode, and that's when you do it. And you just.
I think a lot of us are confused between the FPV mode and that other one you talked about, Freeverse or whatever.
Yeah, FPV mode's not like doing like stunts and everything. It's just you can sit down and just go left or right, just like the regular Avata 360.
Okay, you hear a lot of people say you have to actually stand up and move your body all around.
That's the other mode if you want to do that. No.
Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of confusing. So yeah, nobody really explains that well. So
Ron, any closing thoughts before we close things up here tonight?
No, I'm glad Garrett could come on. I think, again, we hear a lot of talk about the Avata 360 because most of us are DJI fanboys, but it's good to hear about the competition and a worthy competition and an alternative that's a little bit different, and I think they're going to both be very good drones, important drones for this year, and this could be the year of the 360 drone. Really, I mean, we've never had one before, and the first two out the gate look like very good products. I think if the A1 adds that standard controller for people that can't wear goggles, don't like to wear goggles, I think that'll increase the interest in the sales a lot, especially if they can bring the price down by adding a regular remote rather than goggles. Knock that price down to under $1,000 like the Avata 360. I think that's going to level things out a little bit. So I'm looking forward to what both companies do in the upgrades and firmware upgrades from both companies to the end of the year. I think both drones have great potential, and I think we're lucky to have them. So
yeah, I agree 100%. And Garrett, thank you again so much for being on. It was a real pleasure having you on tonight and getting to know about. We really got to find out a lot about Antigravity tonight. A1.
And definitely come back again when there's some big firmware upgrades or when that standard remote, anything big happens with the A1, please come back on with us again.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back on after something like that happens, so we can walk through that. I think that would be fantastic. And
I work nights now, so it's like my schedule got switched to nights now. So I was like, had 2 days off because I had a root canal. So I was like, let me get on.
Yeah. Well, we'll work around your schedule whenever you have time to come on. We'll get you on.
We'll find a way to get you on. So that'll if we have to do a weekend episode, we'll probably do something like that. So that would definitely work. But thank you again for coming on. A lot of great points. It was great having Marcus on tonight. Really enjoyed that. Kind of like getting the band back together. That was great.
And with him, the good, and he could share his good news with that. His A1's coming, so it'll be good to have somebody else that has both of them to give us. Yeah, and Marcus. We're kind of all DJI fanboys, but I think all of us, when we get another good drone, like we had the Autel drones when they came out and they were good drones. I mean, we'd like to see. We're only DJI fanboys because that's all the choice we really have. We'd like to see other good drones come out.
Exactly, Ron. That's a fantastic point. That's really well stated as far as that's concerned. So, and again, it was great having Garrett on. It was fantastic. We'll definitely get you back on again because it was a great discussion tonight. A lot of great comments tonight. People really enjoyed having you on. So that was definitely good. So and stay tuned. It really is. Ron's right. I said this is really the year of the 360 drone, and it's really been incredible, and it's been a great experience. And it's only gonna get better. It's not gonna get any worse. And we have two fantastic ones that are out there right now. So, but again,
bring tiny plants back. Tiny plants, I love.
Exactly. And if you guys get a chance to subscribe to Garrett's channel and watch his videos, does fantastic. I'm going to drop a link in the description. For you guys.
Garrett definitely needs some more subscribers. He's got some good content.
You can help him out. I think he'd really appreciate that. He has some great videos out there already. So check that out, and I'll get that link down there after the show tonight. But guys, thanks so much for tonight, for everything, for your great comments and everything. As always, guys, remember, it's a great day to fly. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.